Alright, welcome to Hedgehog Historicals again as we continue our series that's part of our game design project. And today we're going to cover some of the infantry units, actually quite a few of the infantry units, that come with the Undead Halfling army. And we're going to start with the bloke you see in front of you. This is the Wraith Knight that is TT Combat's figure, special hero. And we actually use that same term in our army list, and he counts as our champion. So let's talk a little bit about how we created his stat line. Alright, so here's another situation where we kind of merge the two skeleton and halfling stat lines to come up with our Wraith Knight. You'll see the Wraith Knight actually starts off with, just like every other halfling, an agility and accuracy of 6, but you'll notice the strength actually goes up to 5, and that's because champions usually always have a +1 strength. So you go take it from a 4 for a typical halfling, make it a 5. The res, because their halflings are 4, we've dropped them down to 4, but he does have heavy armor, so he goes back up to 4 with 7 parentheses. And because halflings are have a better initiative than undead normally, or even better than humans, went ahead and upped them to, kept him at an 8, because he is, remember, the hero, his whole thing is allowing the other units around him to use his initiative. No point in having a Wraith Knight with a 5 or 6 initiative.
Right.
That's a pointless thing. Then finally, his command is 8, because that's basically what a halfling hero would be, and it's not quite as good as some of the other heroes, but it fits really well with this one. Now, just like other heroes, he'll be able to be upgraded, with his toughness 2 or 3 and wound 2 or 3. And like many other halflings that aren't spectral, he will have the ability to upgrade to get stealthy, which allows him to basically put you in a position where, if you're in cover, you have to reroll successful hits. Pretty sure that's what it does.
Yes, I just looked it up.
Now, and again, because he is a halfling, you can give him the ability to throw rocks, which is why his accuracy of 6 matters. So that makes him get a little bit of small ranged attacks, which is nice. Not only for exchange of missiles, but just regular ranged attacks. Alright, so let's take a look at some of the infantry units. Alright, so you get 3 different types of kits that come with TT Combat. And that is archers, spearmen, and swordsmen. So, looking at most of the unit entries that other factions have, you'll find that you've got, when it comes to the regular standard infantry, sword and board and spears are always available, but the honor guard usually are armed with spears.
Or
so,
halberds.
What was that?
Or halberds.
Or halberds, yeah. So in this case, yeah, they're always a better weapon than just the regular sword. So what we've done here, again, going off the standard unit entries that exist, and trying to marry the two up, figure we'll start with the guard, and figure if they've got the real nice banner there, that could be the guard unit. But notice they'll be the ones with the spears as a base. And all the infantry pretty much have the same stat line, all the warriors. The guard, the only real difference for them is the morale is a little better. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put on the screen, I'll put the regular halfling warrior stat line up, and we'll talk about how it differs from the guard and how the archers would differ. Okay. Alright, so taking a look at the warriors line, whether it's archers or regular warriors, again, agility and accuracy are 6, just like halflings. Strength and res, are 4, just like halflings. Initiative is 6. Command is 7 for the sergeant, 6 for the rest of the unit. Now, they're armed with either sword or bow, and you can upgrade them to, or basically give them spears for free. Or if you want this to be the honor guard unit, then you basically increase the sergeant's command to 8 and the rest of the unit to 7, and they start with spears. Now, as far as the other options for increasing, you can buy for the warriors. You can give them light armor, so they actually end up with a 5 res. Mm-hmm. That's a big improvement, yeah. But again, you can give them the ability to throw rocks for a point. And they too have the stealthy special rule. Now, those upgrades are the same ones you can give to the Halfling Guard. Light armor, bringing it to 5. Being able to throw rocks and giving them stealthy. Now, you cannot give light armor or rocks to the archers because they already have a bow. No sense. And of course, the armor just can get in the way for a bowman. The warriors can have spears for free, and the archers, they have the ability to get stealthy, but they can also get the Deadeye special rule, which gives them makes them a little more likely to hit if they, because they get to reroll 1 miss. So that puts them at, about 42 for your base 5-man squad, and you can basically pay 6 points each for every additional one. So that's a total of 72 points for a 10-man infantry squad. If you go with the Honor Guard, which is slightly better command, you end up with 62 base, and you end up with the Guard at 10 points apiece, so that end up at 102. That's because the Honor Guard unit, we'll go ahead and throw their stat list up here too, because they have some special abilities the others don't. They have the ability to do a shield wall. So, unlike the rest of the Halfling soldiers with shields, they can actually get a slightly better defensive game going on there. So that's all we did when it came to infantry, basic infantry. Now let's take a quick look at the cavalry. All right, so here's the cavalry. So we got 2 different versions. Again, these are the first ones that came out with the scythes, and in the almost like Grim Reapers riding dire ponies. And then you have the new knights, which have spears and heavy armor. So this one list will handle both types of models regardless of which ones you've got. So let's take a look at the stats. All right, so regardless of which set of models you're going to want to use, we're going to have one common stat line, and just like all the regular Halflings, 6 agility, 6 accuracy, 4 strength. Now the res is 5 because they're mounted. That's a typical rule for cavalry. And of course, they're assumed to be having heavy armor. Now, we kind of thought that they're going to be knights, and it really doesn't make sense to have such a fragile army have their strongest unit also be fragile. We assumed that there was heavy armor underneath those long black cloaks of the Grim Reaper version. And so we just started them off as having heavy armor. And then it turns out when they actually came out with the knight models, sure enough, they have heavy armor. So we kind of got lucky there. Really, we did.
So word for it.
Yeah. Initiative is 6 and command is 7, because even they're halflings, but they're not as brave as normal. Again, trying to keep the units a little bit more, have some longevity compared to some undead units. That's kind of the way I'm looking at it. Now, since these are ponies, the special rules are a little different. They're only fast 6 instead of fast 8 like the regular cavalry for undead. But they do have dread because the ponies are actually wraith ponies. That kind of made sense just when you look at the model. So I decided to throw dread on there. Now, because they're mounted, I figure I gave the mounts 1 attack of their own that has Deathly Chill, and they're considered enchanted steeds, so they can fly over water without any trouble. They don't have to worry about water.
Water.
Yeah. Yeah, Dave has seen what can happen when water's on the table, especially against my lizardmen. But anyway, this gives a really nice unit. It's very strong in the offense. It goes through, and because of the one hit that's Deathly Chill, that ignores a lot of the armor that some of the opponents will have. And going in with 5 attacks is not that bad when you're ignoring armor. Having the thing be fast again, granted it's not 8 inches fast, it is 6 inches fast, but it still allows you to do that, retaining the run order. That's always useful. And given that they're armed with a sword default, and the fact that you can upgrade them gives some options here. Now again, we left the sword just in case the units there. I didn't know what TT Combat was going to come out with, so let's just start them with swords with upgrades available. And the different upgrades we allowed at this point, we can upgrade a spear for free because that's really what's kind of the same level as swords. We can give them rocks to throw because again, halflings are good at throwing rocks, so that actually gives them a little bit of offensive capabilities at range and gives them an exchange of missile. That's 1 point per model. That's not bad. Now, for the scythes, those are, we have a 1 point per model there. We actually have a scythe stat that I'll show you here in a second. And you can also, because these the new knights come with what look like spears, we actually decided to call those lances. Since they can upgrade to rocks to get the exchange of missiles, might as well use those as lances. So of course it's just a +1, plus 2 points per model for the lances. So you have a couple different options as far as the way you want to equip these. They're all going to be very good in the initial charges. They might not have a lot of staying power, but again, because they have a Res 8, they're going to fare a lot better than the rest of your army.
And they do like a lot of what I mean. In all old school, I don't want to say old school, but in all fantasy games I've played where cavalry is a thing, cavalry is king.
Yeah, that's true.
And they are the hammer of this army.
Yeah, and they do pretty well. I mean, yeah, and just like with everything, if, opponent gets the lucky shots and whittle them down, but they may look cute, but they are something to fear on the tabletop. Through all our playtesting, that's one of the things we found. So I am very comfortable with the way I created these particular units, the cavalry. Now, what's different with the scythe weapon here, though, these are special Halfling Grim Reaper scythes. Because they're a cavalry unit, I thought, and again, I didn't know they were going to come out with the later knights with the lances. I figured they should have some special abilities in the charge, because they don't have lances, and a scythe really doesn't give you what's in the books for some of the other armies. It doesn't quite fit the theme of this little horse version. So what I decided to do was give it essentially a 2-strike value, kind of like sweeping by and harvesting the opponent as you're running by. Yep, reaping as it was, exactly, that's right. It gives the scythe a little more oomph than it normally would have, but it's only for this unit. And it's not quite as good as the lance, but still, I think it works out pretty well. You can go with either way you want, whether it's model, whichever model you happen to have, and you really aren't that far off points wise. All right, so I hope this gave you a nice appreciation for some of the things you can do, ways you can take existing models of the market and create your own army list from them using Rick Priestley's rule set. Next week we'll take a look at some of the other undead models with very special rules. All right, stay tuned for the next episode. Bye-bye.